Welcome to the Candle Business Coach Podcast, a show about the craft of candle making and small business. I'm your host, Kirsty Allen, and I'm a candle maker, mum of three, and kindness advocator. Join me as I dive into all things candles and small business and deliver advice and tips to you in episodes every Tuesday and Friday. Are you on the list to get my daily motivation emails? Every day I'll send you a message that is designed to help keep you focused on taking action toward your goals. Sign up using the link in the show notes. This episode is brought to you by the membership for candle makers, the Candle Makers Collective. Becoming a member gives you access to fortnightly online group Q&A coaching sessions to support you, monthly online workshops and trainings to help you grow your business, plus frequent expert guest speakers to inspire and teach you. You'll also have access to an ever-growing resource library with templates, guides, planners, and ebooks. But my favorite aspect of the membership is our exclusive Facebook group for accountability, connection and support. So if you're looking to take your candle business to the next level and learn more about the membership for candle makers, click the link in the show notes for the Candle Makers Collective. Welcome back to the podcast, my friend. Today we have a very special guest with us. Peter from Happy Flame is joining us to talk to us all about beeswax candles, which I'm so excited about. And I know that the listeners have been wanting to explore this topic for so long, so it's a privilege to be able to speak with Peter tonight. Peter, do you want to say hello to listeners and introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, Kirsty. Yes, Happy Flame has been going since 2006, which is our 17th year. So it's been a big journey. We actually started making candles because our family, we were buying beeswax candles. Our family were full of asthmatics and the kids were young, and beeswax candles helped ease their breathing. So we were buying them and thought to ourselves, well, look, these are expensive, there must be a way we can do it for ourselves. And then we realised that, my wife at the time was at home looking after the kids. So she said, no, we can do this. And that was the start of Happy Flame.
Amazing. And it's come so far in those 17 years. Mm-hmm. Yes. What was the process like when you first started, if you can cast your mind back to the early days?
Well, beeswax candles, very small industry then. There was only probably 2 or 3 people making them professionally in Australia. And all bar one weren't that friendly, to be honest. They were not great sharers, put it that way. And so we learned very quickly that if we wanted to do this properly, we just had to work it out. And it really, we say we started in 2006, but before that, there was nearly 2 years of trial and error and frustration and nearly giving up, because beeswax is not an easy material to work with. So that was the start, but persisted and put together a small range of candles and went to the markets. And markets, as you know, are a great way to grow a business. And in our area, we're in the Northern Rivers up near, I say Byron Bay, everyone does, but I never say we're from Byron Bay. We're in the area. We started in Lismore and we're now in Austinville. But, lots of farmers markets in our area, and we just went to all of them. We were doing 5 markets a week in the early days.
Wow.
Just crazy.
That's amazing. Yes. But you would have built up such a positive reputation with people that were looking for something a little bit different from the traditional synthetic fragrance candles that you can purchase.
Yeah, look, beeswax is always sort of known as the hippie candle, the alternative. And Northern Rivers is pretty alternative, and so we came along at a time which people were rediscovering beeswax, which was good timing in a way. So yeah, you go to markets, you go to every market you can, and you talk to the people, and but we were always at the same time online. far cry from what it is now. But so even if we saw tourists, we'd meet them at the Byron Bay community market, and they'd go back home with their candle, and then they'd end up buying online. So, yeah, markets. We're very lucky. It's a very good way of establishing a really long-term customer base. Yeah,
that's so true, and such a good point that you raise about when you first come across new customers. It's usually in person at a market. They fall in love with your product, and then they're willing to purchase online, whereas they might not necessarily have purchased online without seeing or smelling the candle first in person.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And look, there's a story with beeswax. When there's no, of course, we don't use any fragrance in our candles. It's just a natural honey aroma. So 90% of people walk up to a candle, pick it up, and smell it for a fragrance, and then some say, "Oh, do you have a vanilla or whatever?" And you go, "Wow, no." And so there's a big story to explain to them why they would buy a beeswax candle. Mm-hmm. And of course, for us, it is about health and no chemicals and no fragrance, and that's our story. Not everyone cares about that, but there is a small group that do, and so that's the people who buy beeswax. Yeah, but yes, face to face, it's very important. Yeah.
Do you feel like that group of people and the environmentally conscious person, that type of person is starting to grow as time goes on?
Yes, yeah. There's a big shift towards especially no chemicals. We're a certified organic, which allows them to go. Okay, someone else is telling me, not just Happy Flame, someone else is saying it's chemical free. And that's what people, our particular customer group, are looking for. And yes, people are very, over the last few years, our health has been tested and talked about a lot. And so people are looking for different ways of lighting or their home with candlelight to probably bring some calm to their home, but know that it's safe for their family. Yeah.
Absolutely. So how do you source your beeswax, and what factors do you consider when you choose your materials?
I'm very lucky that I've built up probably it's direct from the beekeeper. I mean, I must say, when we first started and we went along to beekeepers and said, "Oh, can we buy 20 kilos of beeswax, please?" And beekeepers have got no time for that. They go, "No, actually." And we were very lucky, and I must say, Anka was the one that just was persistent and found the right people, and who once one trusts you, then the rest are happy. And so over the years, you find one beekeeper who goes, "Oh, all right, then I'll sell you some of my beeswax." They didn't really care then. And then eventually you need more and more. And so you say, "Oh, well, do you have any?" "No, I don't." "Well, go and see such and such. They'll have some," and on you go. So now it's a lot easier, of course, because after all this time, I know them very well. I have to go out and pick it up, or sometimes they bring it to me. But now I've got to buy it by the pallet, right?
Oh,
so
wow.
I buy it by the ton. Now, I don't always want to buy it by the ton, but that's just how they sell it now. And
Amazing.
you go, "Oh, okay." So it's hard on the wallet. And of course, one of the problems why there's not a lot of people making beeswax candles, if you buy beeswax from a candle supply company in Australia, then they might sell you in blocks of 5 kilos. There is one person who sells it in blocks of 9 kilos, but the price is not what you need it to be. It's not low enough.
Mm-hmm.
It might be low enough to start and to get going, but eventually, yes, you need to buy in bulk, and that's very testing for people to start, or more to the point to continue. Because yeah, it's a hard thing to gather and buy a lot of beeswax at once, you know.
Yeah, it'd be
But,
interesting
but
when you start the craft of buying, as you say, like 5 kilos worth of beeswax, and then realizing that
yeah,
you need to buy a lot more to make more product, and then realizing
yeah.
that it's not as cost effective overall.
Yes, yeah, because because there's only a few of us, and two of probably half a dozen in Australia. There might be a dozen people selling beeswax now,
Wow.
but certainly two of them are fully equipped with machinery. Now, no, I don't have machinery, but that means their overheads in terms of labour is very small. So yes, it's what that means is that they sort of get to set the price within a range, and that can be quite tough if you're buying just from other candle making supplies.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I look, as we've talked about, I'm very passionate. We need more beeswax candle makers. You know, I'm 62 now. I'll do it another 5 years, but I know I need to get other people to do it because the demand is growing,
Mm-hmm.
and the others aren't sharing and caring. So, so I need to get it down and make sure that people understand how to make it. Beeswax is the most annoying material. I have five five different types of wax here at the moment, and all needs to be cleaned in different ways. And last week I thought I was in a hurry and I cleaned some and I thought, oh, it's all good. And of course I test everything I do and it wasn't all good. So, you
Oh
know, you
no.
remelt candles.
Oh no.
that yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was a thousand tea lights.
Oh
But
my
you
goodness.
know, that's so, so it's an interesting there's some things which, like everything, once you know, it's easy, right? But testing and understanding all the details needs to be passed on. So hopefully I'll get the opportunity to do that.
Why is beeswax candles or working with beeswax so challenging?
The key to beeswax is the cleaning. So when I receive beeswax, it's not ready to be a candle. So you need to clean it, and it takes time to do that. So I have 2 batches on at the moment, and they'll take 3 days to clean.
Oh wow.
So that's to get it so that I know. Well, I test every batch, as I said, but that it will burn properly every candle. And you know, if you spend more on beeswax, my customers, if I send them 4-hour tea lights and they don't burn 4 hours, I can tell you they let me know, and that's fair enough.
True.
You know, they've got to burn brightly, and the pillar candles can't drip, and you know, it's very beeswax candle makers, candle buyers. Know what they want, and they expect it every time. So it needs to be consistent, and so you have this journey with the wax to get to the point of so it burns well and it burns consistently.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, doing the
oh
testing
yes,
process is so
yeah. So
important.
if you've got the cleaning right, then it's the same challenges as all candle makers. So the right wick and the right matching up with the right size, with the size, and then all the other businesses challenges from there, but containers and boxes and all of that. But yeah, the main one, which is usually not confronted by other types of wax, is cleaning it. And
Interesting.
I've got 20, probably 30 blocks of wax, which I've given up on. Now that's a
Oh,
huge amount of money, but
yeah.
I've gone, okay, you just sit there for a while and have a think about what you know. It's just I'll revisit it, you know, at one stage. But yeah,
Yes.
it's that's the challenge.
Mm.
But again, once you know what to do, it's easy, right?
Do you feel
Yeah.
like you need to have a lot of patience as a beeswax candle maker?
Oh yes,
Yep.
yes, yeah. I think also that it is one of those ancient I don't want to sound a bit high and mighty, but it is a craft which you need to really work. It's one of the last materials you really need to have to work with and be patient with, and when it doesn't work, then there's no one else at the moment to turn to. That you can't. There's no Kirsty for beeswax candles.
Yeah.
To hell. So you have to work it through yourself, and yes, so that definitely patience is exactly the right word.
Yeah, incredible. So for those of us that may not know, can you explain the differences between, say, a soy, a palm, a paraffin, and a beeswax candle?
Of those waxes, beeswax is the only one which is created as a wax. So all the others come from a processor. And so paraffin is a waste product of petroleum manufacturing. Soy comes from a plant, goes through a hydrocarbon process to create the wax. So soy plant doesn't create the wax. Wax has to be created, and the same with palm wax. Beeswax is the only one out of those that is created as a wax. So the bees make the wax from their bodies, and so there's no process other than nature that creates the wax.
Amazing.
So that's the big difference. Yeah.
Is there a difference between organic and conventional beeswax?
Yes. So certified organic, and I say certified organic because, of course, the word organic, Australia's the last country in the world, developed world, that does not regulate the word organic. So I could use conventional beeswax and put the word organic on it. Now, you and I think of organic as chemical-free, but the conventional beeswax isn't necessarily chemical-free. There could be a residue in it. Whereas certified organic or true organics is all through the process, no chemicals are used. So in the beehive, in a conventional beehive, they might use a chemical for pest control. In an organic beehive, they don't. So they have to do it in natural pest management. Then when the beeswax comes to the shed of the beekeeper, there can't be any chemicals in the shed. You can't clean, you can't process anything. No chemicals can touch anything. Then when the beeswax comes to me, I can't have any chemicals in my shed. I can't use any chemicals in anything I do. And the difference with the word certified is important for anything, whether it's food or beeswax, is that an outside organisation, a third party, actually checks that occurs, that no chemicals or additives or is used along the way. Now that's an obscene amount of paperwork to keep track of every block of beeswax, but there's a small group of people that do want to know that, and they have a choice with me. They can buy certified organic, and therefore they know that there is absolutely no chemicals. And for some people, it's actually it's critical. Some people get very sick from chemicals. A lot of people do, but there's quite a few that know that they get sick when under any chemical exposure. So they need to know that when I say it's organic, it is. And that's why certification's so important. So, yes.
Wow.
But I do sell both because not everyone can afford certified organic. It is 25, 30% dearer because it costs so much more to create.
That's
the
so
paperwork.
Fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing. We thought organic was going to be regulated this year, but the current federal government has tossed it out after 5 years of lobbying. It was just thrown out, and so we have to start all over again. And we'll see what happens next time around.
Oh, that's so disheartening.
But, yes. Oh, it's silly. You should be able to go to a shop and know that if something has organic on it, it doesn't have chemicals. I mean, that's what you should know.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yes, it's a different world, that one. But yes, that's the difference between the two beeswaxes I sell.
Mm-hmm. Now, I saw something interesting on your website, and it said that bees can fly up to 10 kilometers. But the question was actually this was in your frequently asked questions section on the website. And it said, how can you guarantee that they don't visit farms that have been sprayed? Which is such a good point, because they're animals,
Absolutely.
they can fly wherever they want. So how do you guarantee that they don't visit farms that have been sprayed?
So in this region, in Northern Rivers, there's a beekeeper who is certified organic, and he's been doing it, I don't know, too long, a decade. And so every site, every location that he puts his bees is also certified. It's being looked at. Look, Google Maps makes it a lot easier, of course, because you can look at a spot and look down now and see what's around there and see what farms are there. And of course, what they do is if there is a farm within 5 kilometres either way, then they have an agreement with those properties around them that there's no spraying. Now, it's not just a handshake, but it's actually a formal document saying they haven't sprayed. Of course, a lot of the sites are next to national parks, so we have a lot of national parks around here, and they're pretty much not maintained anymore. But if they do spray weeds, for example, in the national park, then that has to go up onto their website to advise people like the beekeepers that that's what they've done. Okay. So yes, it's quite complex, but it's the main question I'm asked: how can you guarantee a bee doesn't land on a flower that has been sprayed? Yeah, of course.
Well, now we know the answer.
Now you know the answer, yeah. And look, and the thing is that most of our organic honey, for example, goes overseas. I mean, they pay double the price in Australia. So the thing about honey is that it's very easy to test for chemicals. And the other thing about honey is that you can determine where that honey has been gathered by the surrounding trees. It actually has it's almost like a footprint. So if certified organic honey ends up in Germany, and the first thing they do is test it, and it gets rejected for chemicals, then they can source it all the way back to the actual location.
Oh, wow.
So, so that's why you pay double the price for your organic honey. Well, not quite, but that's why.
Yeah. It makes sense when you start to unpack all of the details and the intricacies that's involved with the process. I myself am learning so much from you and your wisdom and your knowledge tonight. And I think it's incredible that someone such as yourself has a passion for what you do and are sharing that with the world and helping to make the world a better place through your own business, which is very inspiring. So thank you for going down this path. I can tell that you are a very patient person and very caring and empathetic. So it's incredible that that we're able to chat tonight. I'm just so grateful.
Oh, no worries. I think it's really important to pass on knowledge and whatever it is, whether it's about organic honey or beeswax candles. And I think we all need to do more of that. Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Can you share with us any sustainability practices that you've incorporated into your business?
Yeah, look, my customers are very passionate too. So along the way, we've learnt, although we've used minimal plastic, for example, for packaging throughout most of our time. But if we ever, plastic sticky tape, I mean, I always remember the day the lady rang and said, we shouldn't be using that, little bits of plastic stick. So, fair enough. So we use paper tape, absolutely. Or we use paper washi tape. So our customers have kept us on our toes, certainly about packaging, which has been fun and helpful. Everything we do, being organic, it means that we can't do a lot of things, of course, but that was on purpose. Certainly our packaging, certainly the way we choose our beekeepers. There's some cowboys, like every industry, that don't do the right thing. All of our beekeepers are very much aware of the environment and where they look after their bees. They're very passionate about that. So yes, it's. I think with sustainability, because it's important for most people. I think it's really important to do it all the way through. To don't do it halfway, and sort of live that within your business. Beeswax is I call it the only sustainable candle wax, because we go to the beehive, we take one box out of 3 which has wax and honey. The rest, the beehive goes on. We're not breaking it up, we're not destroying it. It's a living cell. We take what we need, the bees generate more, life goes on. And we make sure the bees are well looked after, so they keep creating the wax and the honey, and that I feel is a totally sustainable model. There's, whether you talk about palm, I'm a bit passionate about palm oil, of course, with trees and being taken down for that. I think there's better things to do than with palms than candle wax. I know that's very rude, but so
no, it's true. Like it's important it's absolutely important to share how you feel about different aspects of candle making, because that's what enriches the environment when we can have these discussions about the different methods of making candles. And I know that there are listeners out there that are wanting to explore the beeswax as an option for their business. And so I feel like being able to bring more light to the damage that other practices can do to our planet is really important.
Yeah, I think things are getting better, but I think if we look at the candle industry in palm and soy, I mean, sadly, it's not a cottage industry, of course. It's a big corporate run business now. Soy, whether it's wax or whatever, and palm oil is massive. So as soon as that corporate thinking, just make the money, comes into it, it's difficult to be kind about their practices. I think soy industry, candle industry, are trying very hard to be sustainable, and there's sustainability marks and a bit more trackability on where the soy is coming from. I think they're all good things for the industry. I think there's a number of things in candles, and this is exactly the same with beeswax. 2 of the biggest beeswax candle makers in Australia add oil to their beeswax. Now, why would you do that? What are they doing? Because as soon as the oil that they're adding creates a toxic fume. Now, why would you? I know why they're doing that, because if I add oil to my candles, I don't have to clean it so much. Anything burns with oil in it, right? So that's called laziness and greed. So I think we've all got to look at what we're doing. There's no perfect. Beeswax can be as bad as any other industry. What we put in our waxes, I think we've all got to question what we use, and also then what we do to it. Do you the fragrances you use? I don't know about fragrances, except in my eyes, it can do harm to people if they've got weak respiratory systems. So what do we demand from our fragrance people? Candle makers should say, well, okay, tell me what's in that fragrance. So how was that made? It doesn't mean essential oils, or does it? And does it mean that it needs to be organic essential oil? I don't have the answers to those things, but I think as candle makers, like any craft, as soon as you start making by hand, you've got to question everything you do, because the people who are buying from you are saying, well, here's a artisan, they know what they're doing, so okay, I'm trusting you, what you're giving me. So it's our job as an artisan to go, all right, well, let's just make sure what I'm doing is good for my customer.
It's not just about educating ourselves as candle makers, but also our customers to become more empowered, to ask better questions, to become more knowledgeable in not just candles, but every product that they purchase. Yeah, very much so. The only way we're going to improve our health in this world is to question everything, of course. Candle making, regardless, is so very important. I mean, it does so much for anyone who burns a candle. It creates, it changes their world. And, we've got to keep that in mind. So, let's make sure what we're giving them is what they should have. When you start your candle business, there are so many things to consider and research along the way, especially when it comes to choosing the right suppliers. Long Story Short provides all your design and printing needs, from your logo and branding to designing and printing your product labels. The quality is exceptional, the customer service is amazing, and prices are very reasonable. They're the only label company I recommend, so check out their website or send them an email today to get started. hello@longstoryshortdesign.com.au. Can you explain how beeswax candles cleanse the air?
Yeah, look, it's one of those, if someone's going to bring anyone to task in our world, it's that claim. There was, I think 3 decades ago, testing on natural ionisation. And there's a number of things. Well, the result is that positive and negative ions get together, and dust is positive, joins the negative, and it drops out of the air. So that's the process, that's ionisation. And beeswax creates that ionisation effect. Now, I don't have a study for that. It's been one, like a scientific study. But there was one candle maker who, from America, when I was talking to him about it, he said, yes, I know we don't have a study, and that's a good thing. When you go to a waterfall, a big waterfall in the bush, and you stand near it and you feel energized, that's the same process. He said, so ionization is a thing. Your beeswax candle is doing that thing, but do we have a scientific study to say it's definite? The reality is, I think it's a very important part of beeswax candles because, my children had asthma. We used beeswax candles. It helped clean the air. It's not only that, it also helped them relax and breathe easier. So it's a combination of things, but definitely if we burned a beeswax candle 2 hours before they went to bed, they rested better. So that's the effect of natural ionisation.
That's a hot tip for all the parents that are listening. Buy a beeswax candle, burn it 2 hours before you put the kids to bed. See if that makes a difference.
There's a lot of thankful mums out there.
Yes. Are there many common misconceptions about beeswax candles?
I think the only negative one has come up from that people think we destroy beehives when we're gathering honey and beeswax. The reality is that we don't do that. we don't have to do that. We want the bees to live on and on and on and on. And so we only take the excess from a beehive. So that's a big problem in some people's eyes, but certainly that doesn't happen. We don't destroy beehives. Other than that, and of course, going on from that, they think, we're making the bees work harder because we're taking it away. It's only what they excess that we're taking. I think beekeepers go beyond what they need to do sometimes in keeping their bees healthy. The beehives are moved around to find flowers. So they're not just in one spot. They can move hundreds of hives and they have to be moved at night. And they move so the bees have lots of flowers and lots of pollen and nectar to gather and build up their hives. So beekeepers are amazing. I would never be a beekeeper. It's way too hard. But it's a real passion, and they do amazing things to make sure bees are looked after very well.
Incredible.
I think that's all. I can't think of anything else that I've heard of. Have you heard anything? What do you think?
No, mine was the same thoughts in that there was this misconception that they're destroying the beehives to get the honey and to get the wax. So it's very reassuring to hear that that's not the case.
Yeah.
And it's a sustainable practice, which is what we want.
Yeah, very important. Bees are under attack at the moment. There are a lot of chemicals sprayed on our crops, way too many, and they do die from those chemicals. All beekeepers work very hard at keeping bees away from farms which are sprayed. There's a lot of natural pests which they battle. But, it's an industry full of hardworking people which, we need the bees to keep going. As you know, without the bees, there's no food, so it's a pretty important job.
Absolutely.
But
makes you appreciate everything a lot more when you understand what's really involved.
Yes, they work hard to create to look after the bees and create the honey and the wax for us. Yes, indeed.
What advice do you have for anyone looking to start their beeswax candle journey?
I think fortunately there's more and more information on YouTube from around the world. That's the great news about becoming one now. You don't rely on other beeswax candle makers locally to give you info. So as many videos as you can, and when you do, you observe and you'll pick up all the little tricks and things that they've developed. We all do it slightly different, like all candle makers. So the more you watch people making, the more you pick up. I think you look at you then, you always can reach out to me. That's really important. And you also look at everyone who sells beeswax, what's on their website, and you'll see a pattern of the most popular candles. And when you start, you stick with those. I saw a lovely lady down at the market. She's just starting up, and she had an amazing array of different shapes and sizes and puppy dogs and beetles and all sorts of things. Super cute. But the reality is that beeswax candle purchasers want pillar candles and tea lights and votives and, it's Christmas. Okay, I'll buy a Christmas tree and I'll buy something fancy. But will they buy a big puppy dog? Probably not. Probably not. So look at what's online. Don't be tempted by saying, no one's got puppy dogs, so I'll do puppy dogs. It's lovely, maybe for yourself, but that's what you need to do, the standard pillars and tea lights and votives and get the business going, the trust going, and then you can venture off to some other things.
Yes, there's such a temptation to make everything to try and cover every customer's request when really, as you say, just stick with what's tried and true, stick with what customers actually are willing to pay for. And there's so much time and effort in mastering the basics that you need to focus on that first.
Yeah, it's there's a lovely lady in Sydney who's doing it, just some really beautiful candles and like good candles which burnt well. But she then, after a year, just decided to. I think she must have had 100 different candles. Well, sadly, she's not around anymore because to do that amount of candles is a huge amount of money in stock. So it's like any business practice, you've got to stay focused. But beeswax is a little bit easier in terms of the customers. We've worked out what the customers are buying. I probably have, I say don't venture off into fancy candles. I probably have the biggest range of fancy candles in the market, but that's just me. But to start out, keep it simple, add something a little bit different. Don't try to, outside of that, you're going to be buying molds. Beeswax is unique in that it holds detail like no other wax. So you look on my website and there's some very, very fine detail work there from mold makers all around the world. And that's the beauty of beeswax, is when you do want to make something special, you can make very fine detail candles. But slowly venture into that. Always buy the most expensive molds you can, because out of China, beeswax is tough on molds, so you've got to buy high quality molds.
That's a very good, good tip.
Yeah. Oh, you can spend a lot of. And I've bought my share of Chinese candle molds too. Thinking it'll be different this time, but it never is.
Can you share with us a particularly memorable or meaningful candle that you've created with beeswax?
My favourite candle is the biggest candle I make, and that is one which is 10 centimetres wide and 40 centimetres tall. It's just a plain pillar candle, but the reason it was made, an extremely difficult candle to make because of the volume of beeswax and just the technicalities of heat, and it marks and it bubbles and it's awful. You make 3 and you might get 1. But why it's so important is that the people who buy it, it's called a reflection candle, and the people who buy it is for 2 reasons. One, they've lost someone, so it's a remembrance candle, and it's made to burn 24 hours a day. They never turn it off. They never extinguish it. And so it's the centre of their world. And the other one is the other people that buy it, they need light. They can't be in darkness. And of that group, fluorescent lights, artificial lights, they react to. So their body rejects it. So it's very, 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 it's the niche of niches, but it's a very important candle. And I think making important candles for people are, for a reason. That's one of the things I'm very grateful to be able to do.
That's beautiful.
You wanted me to maybe a fancy one, but no, I like the stories. The stories of my candles are really important. The reason why I make candles are most important.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what will motivate you when you're experiencing challenges, or it'll just give you purpose and direction because it is so meaningful to you. Yes,
no, it's important. And every candle maker should, to a degree, be the same. What's you're giving candlelight. There is no better thing than candlelight.
Definitely.
So it's not always about the outside box.
Yes, absolutely. What are some of the challenges that you're facing with your candle business at the moment?
Look, the economy is always is currently very difficult. I think that they're not going to get any better for a long time. I think you need to be working very closely with your customers, and that's so. The answer to that is staying. The challenge is to stay close to your customers. My customers are fiercely loyal. They've been around for years. One came in from Bribie Island today, dropped in. I mean, it was like old friends. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Hugs and cups of tea and da, 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 da. So you've got to stay close to your customers in tough times. The supplies are not getting cheaper. They won't get cheaper. I expect my beeswax to increase a silly amount by the end of the year because it'll be rarer and their costs are going up. So, yes, everything will be more expensive as a business, but it just means that we'll have to put up our prices. Everyone will, to a degree. Don't be greedy. It's really important. Do only what you have to do. But look at your top 100 customers. If you're fortunate enough to have a database of customers that you email to, or I know you do some good work with teaching about email. Email is the centre of my business. That's really it. I talk to my customers every 2 weeks. It's there needs to be reasons behind it. Don't just send them, as you know. You just don't send out spam. But you've got to give them help. And, at the moment, it's all about creating peace and tranquility for them. And the bottom line is if you want them to purchase your products, you need to give them a reason. If it's ideal to be an emotional reason, they need it. And that's not just like Father's Day or, how is a candle going to help them for their altars or personal spaces? How does it let them relax? Things like that. How does it put the kids to bed, right? Yeah.
Yes.
But then if you run out of those things, and we all do, the reasons to buy is that you've got to say, well, all right, let's give them a bit of a financial incentive. But that's not, shouldn't always be a discount. At the moment I have a promotion, but I gift things. I don't discount. No, that's wrong. Occasionally I discount, but I gift things. So I give things people other candles when they buy things. So people like gifts.
They do.
Yeah.
What are your goals?
So
for
at the moment,
sorry.
No, it's cool. Goals. Well, I'm going to be here for 5 years, and then I'm going to go and do something else.
Wow.
So so I have a nice little place on an island. No, I'm a clay. No, there's lots of things to do. Yeah. There's I want to create a more information-based business, but yeah, this is a very physically hard business. 9-10 kilo blocks of wax being loaded around, and so it's a physical business. And although I know I look 20, I'm actually 62. And so another 5 years, and I'll sell the business and move on and do something even more interesting.
Yes,
but there's a lot to do. There's a lot of educating to do. There's a lot of helping of other people to do yet. So that's why I say another 5 years. And so hopefully we'll get some people making beeswax candles. That's really before that.
Yes.
Start up a few people. If I can, I try not to say it out loud because I've said it too many times. I hope to create a course for people to do that.
Oh, amazing.
And bring them here and hang out with the hippies. Yeah. So that would be fun. Yeah. So we'll probably do something online from next year, and then hopefully bring people in and touch and feel and see what it's all about.
Amazing. And hopefully this podcast can help inspire some people to consider the path of beeswax candle making as well.
I think so. I think it's important. Yes. Yeah. Indeed.
What's your favorite thing about what you do?
It's making people smile, isn't it? It's what people get out of the candles. Look, it's a lot. There's so many things. I mean, what's better than being a candle maker? I
Yeah,
mean, being a self-employed candle maker, you can't get much better than that.
true.
I mean, it's a tough journey, and as you say in your other podcasts, it is a tough journey, and the help you're giving people to stay on task. Small business is tough, but it's where you need to be right now. You don't want to be employed by big business or anything. Small business is it, and if people can persist and take the joy out of what they're creating, that's important. And then we're giving back. I mean, yes, it sounds cliche, but I really do love my customers, and I really do enjoy that they ring me and say, I like or dislike that candle, I'll have this one next time, all right,
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
well, why don't you do this? Okay, so yeah.
It's like a
You've got to
family, like
enjoy.
you're connected with them, and that's so important.
Yeah, you must connect with your customers. You must always be honest, and you must always be the person they want to talk to.
It'll be hard to replicate once you're out of the business in 5 years.
Oh, I'll try and take the grumpy ones out at the same time. We're all about the same age, so we'll probably all give up at the same time, and that would be good for the younger ones. But no, there's lots of room for other beeswax, and hopefully I can get that course or blog. Maybe it could just be an ongoing blog type thing, and just share the knowledge. It's not difficult. It's just that it's only difficult when you don't know, right?
Yes. Oh, 100%. Yes.
Yeah.
So, Peter, we've come to one of my favorite parts of the podcast where I ask all my guests the same 3 questions, all relating to candles.
Oh, okay.
Now, the first one's probably a little controversial for you,
Okay.
for yourself. What is your favorite candle fragrance?
Candle fragrance is honey.
I knew you would say that. Number 2.
In actual fact, it's the only fragrance I like. But yes, go on.
Yes. Number 2. What do you love the most about candles?
Oh, the light. Yes, candlelight. Yeah, that's what it's about. Yeah, good, calm, bright candlelight.
Beautiful. And then the last question is, what is one piece of advice you'd like to give to other candle makers?
It's important to persist when you're starting and know that you're doing a good job and you're creating light in times where more than ever we need candlelight. It's never been more important to create candlelight. So persist and enjoy.
Beautiful. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Now, for the listeners that would love to either connect with you or perhaps purchase one of your beautiful candles, where can we find you online?
So we're happyflame.com.au. And if you'd like to email, you just go peter@happyflame.com.au.
Amazing. And are you on Instagram as well?
To hear from you. Yes, everything is Happy Flame Beeswax Candles on Facebook, Instagram, and whatever else.
The different places.
I'm such a bad social media creator. But anyway, maybe I should listen to your social media podcasts, I think.
Maybe. Well, considering you've got a very successful business without having to rely on social media, I think you know a thing or two about running a business.
Oh, it's okay. We're doing okay, I think. Yeah.
That's good. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being on the podcast with me tonight, Peter. I'm so grateful for your time. And we literally only connected, was it yesterday, the day before? I sent you an email, you emailed me back, we had a phone call, and now here we are. So I so appreciate your time.
Oh, no, thank you for reaching out. It's great. And thank you for doing all the work you're doing. You're doing great things for the candle makers.
Thank you so much.
Thanks everyone for listening today. I hope this episode added value to your candle making journey. Check out the show notes for all the links mentioned throughout today's show, and please subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. Thanks again for listening. Have a beautiful day.